Hello and welcome to Not Even Once.
I'm Seth, and I've seen once.
I'm Bob, and I've seen once twice. And today, we're talking about the fourth episode of Once Upon a Time.
Last time, we saw the episode Snow Falls, and in that episode, Snow White got to girl boss Prince Charming a few times on their meet cute.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, in the present day, John Doe stumbled out of the hospital, and Regina, quote-unquote, found his wife, Catherine, quote, not Ricky Lindholm. No.
Yeah. No, but, so this episode is called The Price of Gold. And I think, as you predicted last week, this was, you were correct, spoiler alert, that we are going to learn a whole lot about Rumpelstiltskin / Mr. Gold.
Yes.
But were you expecting Cinderella?
No, I was not.
Yeah, that I did really like that. Obviously we'll get into it in a little bit, but I did really like how they kind of combined the original Rumpelstiltskin, like, give me your firstborn child, with Cinderella. I thought that was kind of neat.
Yep.
But anyway, this episode was directed by David Solomon, who has previously worked on Buffy, Firefly, Dollhouse, like a lot of Whedon stuff. And he also worked on Grimm, Fringe, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So, like, a lot of these shows that film in Vancouver use the same people a lot of the time, which is really cool. Also, like, these are all, like, genre TV, like, big, like, sci-fi, fantasy kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, it's really cool because we're going to start seeing a lot of these names, like, come up again, and it's like, oh, okay, like, I remember, that other episode that that person wrote, and I'll call that out when it is relevant. But this one was written by David H. Goodman, who similarly also worked on Buffy and Angel. He was an executive producer on Fringe, and he is the credited writer for 31 episodes of Once Upon a Time.
Oh, wow.
So that spans, like, I think all 7 seasons. So he's been with the show, like, he is kind of, like, one of the mainstays of the writers, which is really cool.
Long runner.
He most recently wrote for The Lost Symbol, which is the Da Vinci Code spinoff that Peacock has.
There's a Da Vinci Code spin.
When I'm doing research, sometimes I'm looking stuff up, and I'm like, there really is so much TV.
There is. Sometimes, why?
Sometimes, why do we need all of this? Give me 3 channels and, like, the TV set that has the channel changer that has, like, 3 settings.
Also, give me control over what gets made, because, like,
yeah, we don't need some of these things.
Yeah, I don't know if we need ESPN 8 The Ocho.
Oh yeah, The Ocho, yeah. Exactly. Everyone's favorite sports channel with Jason Bateman hosting. So anyway, this aired on November 13th, 2011 originally. So before we get into the actual recap of the episode, I'll go over some new character notes. So we have 2 this week, Cinderella and Prince Thomas. I don't know if the prince is ever actually named in the episode, but...
He is.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Because he is Prince Thomas, and I was like, I did look him up because I was like, what is this guy's name? So Cinderella is played by Jessie Schramm, who is actually from Skokie, which I thought was pretty neat.
Hometown hero.
I always love when there's actors that are from this area, because we live in Chicago and there are a lot.
Mm-hmm.
She's most known for Once Upon a Time, but she was also on Nashville, the, like, country music. I think it was kind of a musical show, ish. And then she was also on Falling Skies as a regular for a season, and then recurring after. And then she was also a recurring character on Veronica Mars. She has also, I'm sure you probably could have guessed this, because she is, a blonde woman, has been on a bunch of Hallmark movies. Like
Christmas?
She fully has, like, a franchise on Hallmark movies, like, to her character. Like, it's a recurring character that just, like, has all these movies about her.
Oh, wow.
It's the Hallmark Cinematic Universe.
Man. Good for her.
Right. She's currently a regular on Chicago Med. Like, one of the billion Dick Wolf shows that is just happening that I don't watch, but my parents watch and they really like. So, because I watched this one, peek behind the curtain. I went to go visit my parents this weekend, so I watched this with them. And my mom immediately was like, "Oh, she's on Chicago Med." And I was like, never would have known that. And then as for Prince Thomas, he's played by Tim Phillips, who is an Aussie, This was his first American recurring role, and he shortly after he was cast on the short-lived series The Secret Circle on CW. Another
Don't know it.
Sci-fi fantasy, ish show. He was the voice actor and the mocap actor for Dante in Devil May Cry, or in DMC, the Devil May Cry reboot game, where Dante has the black hair.
For half the game, because he does not end the game with black hair.
I've never played those games. Yeah, I've never played Devil May Cry. It's Jeremy showed me the opening to a bunch of the Devil May Cry games, and that is it's camp. I love that. I really enjoyed it. I don't know if I'll ever play it.
It's super over the top. I played the first one, started the second one, got partway through, said, "This is trash, mama." And universally that game is panned, and I have not played any of them since.
Fun. Yeah. No, that's video games for you. And my last thing about Tim Phillips, he is married to Lonely Girl 15. YouTube's video that was this ongoing thing about this girl who was vlogging. It was the first thing, and it eventually came out that it was scripted, it was fake, but people thought she was an actual vlogger, and
I don't know this.
It ended up becoming way more weird and stuff as it went on, but it was kind of the first of those real vlog series that passes as real, I kind of think of it in the same vein as Lizzie Bennet Diaries.
Huh.
But yeah, I don't think it was based on anything, but people thought it was real, and she became a meme as well.
I will look this up afterwards, because I have
You'll probably recognize her, because I looked her up and I was like, oh yeah, duh. I've heard of Lonely Girl 15. I never really watched Lonely Girl 15, but I know of it. I know people were way into it on Tumblr, and that's all I got for that. But anyway, on to the synopsis of
The Price of Gold.
So the episode starts off showing the series title, and I know you said that most of these don't really matter, but I did notice that there is a fairy in the background of the woods with this one.
I think you misheard me. I didn't say they don't matter. I said they change every time.
Okay.
And the one with the unicorn didn't really matter that much.
This one had a generic kind of looking four-winged fairy. It was something I noticed, so I noted it down. The actual episode itself opens with a trio of ladies looking like they're from the Capitol in the Hunger Games, getting into a carriage. Camera pans over and we see Dusty Springfield just kind of weeping.
Dusty Springfield, that's really good. Now, I don't remember... I don't think we see the faces of the, who we obviously know to be the stepmother and the stepsisters.
I mean, there's no closing in.
We just kind of see the bottom of their skirts as they, walk out of the
And then when they get in the carriage, we do see faces. So you can kind of they're not explicitly named. You can assume that this is Lady Tremaine, the stepsisters, and Cinderella. Mm-hmm. But it's just that. And can I say that I unironically love the tiny red top hat on the head of one of the stepsisters?
I fully did not catch that.
She's wearing a full yellow dress and just a little red top hat. Not little mini top hat that's kind of askew as a fascinator. No, just a 7-year-old's red top hat is sitting pinned to her wig straight up and down.
Incredible.
Oh, yes.
I love that. I fully didn't catch it.
Fully. I unironically love it. After we see Cinderella crying, we get to see a fairy godmother float in, giving very Whitney Houston type
Cinderella, yeah.
Yep. And then she gets blown up.
Immediately blown up.
Yes.
Also, I was thinking about this today. As of so far, Once Upon a Time doesn't really have a lot of non-white characters, and they do kind of kill off.
Because they're getting blown up.
They kind of kill off I don't know. It's a choice.
There was also the Black Knight, who was black.
I don't remember.
I think.
It's
Anyway.
Something that I just noticed watching this in 2022.
They're just all getting blown up by Rumpelstiltskin.
Right, which, if you didn't know, good villain.
He's good bad.
Yeah, no, he is fun to watch be evil.
But he blows up the fairy godmother and takes her wand. And he says that wand is pure evil. And he's saved Cinderella from misery because all magic comes with a price. And he says that, capitalizing every word. You will hear this again.
Yeah, get ready to hear that a lot through the show.
And Cinderella says, my life is wretched, and then change it. And again, keep that in mind. You're going to hear that a lot. Trademark.
Yep.
So he gives her then all of the trappings that the fairy godmother would have given her.
After she signs a CVS receipt.
Yeah, after she signs a CVS receipt to make sure that she is going to give him something, which he hasn't decided yet.
Yeah.
Eventually, maybe,
He loves to do a lot of open-ended bargains.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, because, I mean, we already saw him do the one with the Evil Queen, where it's like, I'm going to come to you with a request. And when I do, and I say, please, you're going to do it. Yep. He loves those. And also I do love that he turns around for Cinderella to sign the form on his back. I did love, one thing I found out, if you look closely or play it in slow motion, as Cinderella signs the contract, the first letter she writes is a C, which seemingly indicates that her actual true name is Cinderella instead of, like, that being a nickname her stepsister gave to her.
Yeah. What else would it be?
Who knows?
Later on, she is just called Ella, which is, I guess, a nod to the name.
Yeah, full nickname at that point.
And then the dress that Rumpelstiltskin gives her, very blue. Not correct. It was a white dress. Thank you very much. After that, we're in the present again, and Emma is walking Henry to school, maybe?
To the school bus.
Just like, the bus?
Yeah, it like the bus picks the kids up in the middle of town, apparently, which I've never seen. I mean, yeah, I don't know, maybe in Maine.
Visit Maine.com.
I don't know. I did notice that Emma's coat looked different here.
Yeah, it's blue this time instead of the red.
Well, no, I think didn't we see a brief shot of her, like that opening scene, I think it was a red coat. She's remember. In a blue coat the rest of the episode. But I did some research on this, the custom leather jacket that they got for Emma throughout the series was not there for the first 3 episodes they shot.
Oh.
Because it was custom made and, like, leather work takes a lot of time. So this is the first episode where, like, it is the actual leather jacket that she will wear.
I do not remember if the one at the start of the episode being different. I do know that this episode is where I noted the blue jacket.
I do. She looks great in the blue jacket,
though.
It
is fantastic.
It's a serve.
You know what's not a serve? Henry talking about Operation Cobra in public, out loud, and
asking, like, what do you want your code name to be, Emma?
To everyone where everyone can hear, and it's like, a little late, my dude. And it's like, she's being really caring towards him, and it's like, I know that you gave him up for adoption, and you never had that kind of relationship, but, like, it feels a little weird that she just wants him to call her Emma.
Yeah.
Like, not Miss Swan, not Hey Lady.
It is really interesting how a lot of the time, like, we know through dramatic irony that Henry is correct, that, like, these are fairy tale characters, like, all that stuff. Like, we know that to be true. But if you just watched the Storybrooke parts, this would be an uncomfortable show to watch.
Very much.
Like, here's this boy who very strongly thinks that everyone is fairy tale creatures, and it is kind of really interesting looking at it from that perspective, because you can see Jennifer Morrison really playing that in the Storybrooke scenes that she's in.
Oh my god, should that be how we record this? Do all of the fairy tale ones scenes
Absolutely
and
not. No, that would be borderline unlistenable, I think. Like, because we would be watching the same story twice.
I mean, it would still just give the level of unhinged that Henry's going for.
I don't know. That'd be a different level of unhinged, man.
Anyway, as soon as Henry goes off camera, Graham pulls up, sirens blaring from the car, and asks Emma, thanks Emma for finding John Doe.
This woman who's been arrested multiple times, like, what a way to greet her, pull up in front of her with your sirens. Like, I fully expected, she's getting arrested again, like Evil Queen.
And she says that! Hi, what? Are you here to arrest me?
I did love when Graham offers for her to be his deputy. He's like, there's dental, and I was like, oh girl, you better do that. Dental's good.
Right.
Get on that while you can.
Because I assume her other job is private practice. She's an independent worker.
I'm sure, yeah. She's like probably, like, she's essentially kind of like a bounty hunter.
And
like,
this is government.
Yeah.
For that private sector insurance.
Think about it, girl.
Yeah. He gives her a card and she just looks at it, considers it, and then puts it away.
Mm-hmm.
In the diner, meanwhile, Emma sits down and she gets another glass of the cocoa with the cinnamon while Ruby is just serving so much sass.
She's so hot. Like, she's just like, she's giving.
She's giving! And immediately Regina comes in just to taunt, being like, hey girl, I know what you did last summer and the one before and for the previous 26. And she says, in order for something to grow, Miss Swan, it needs roots, and you don't have any. Setting up, I guess, another apple tree reference.
Setting up a bad dye job.
And then, again, as soon as Regina walks out of the restaurant, because we gotta keep this plot moving, Emma spills on herself. And how?
My note was, how the fuck did Emma spill that cocoa on herself? Like, it's not like it's, like, looped around her finger weirdly. Like, she just dumps it on herself.
Yes, beautiful. Mwah, no notes.
Right, it's like, well, we have to get her to the laundry room.
But not before Ruby comes up and sasses her again and tossing her a towel.
Iconic.
In that laundry room, we find someone who the closed captions call Ashley, but we don't know her name. And so Emma starts drying her shirt, puts on a new shirt, and Ashley starts pouring her life story out to Emma. And Emma has this look of, oh, Jesus, tap dancing Christ, why does this always happen to me?
Because this exact thing already happened to Emma. Literally the exact same thing that happened to Ashley happened to Emma. And that is one of the things I did really like about this episode is it falls at a very good point right after when the Queen comes and says, you're not going to stay here. And Emma essentially gets the opportunity to give a very strongly pro-choice speech to Ashley.
Oh, yeah, I do definitely have notes on that later on.
I was like, Emma Swan, pro-choice queen, we'd stand.
Mm-hmm. And we found out Ashley is 19 years old. Emma saying she was 18, so Henry is 10. I'm not sure if that was explicitly stated before.
Yes, I think that was brought up, because it was her 20th birthday. Like,
28th.
It was inferable, but it wasn't. I don't think it was, like, explicitly stated.
Now we know explicitly Emma was 18 when she had Henry, and she's 28 now.
Mm-hmm.
And then the speech that you were referencing, the pro-choice speech, quote, everyone loves to tell you what you can and can't do, especially with a kid. But ultimately, whatever you're considering doing or giving up, the choice is yours. Emma says, your body, your choice.
And, I mean, like, honestly, after the news this last week,
yeah,
I was like, okay, go off. Like, this is, like, it, weirdly, to, like, not to, like, bring too much of real life into this podcast about
prescient.
fairy tales, it was like, okay, it did make me feel better, because it was like, this was back in 2011, and, like, this was, frankly, I think really well worded.
This was when we had a chance to actually codify things.
Not to get too depressing. Anyway.
After this badass speech, cut to, we find middle of the night, Mr. Gold's pawn shop. He is a pawnbroker, locks up the shop for the night. I guess a pawnbroker is just rich enough to own literally the town.
Also, fun thing about the pawn shop set, most of the buildings and sets that they use for places in the town are like existing businesses that they kind of retrofit, like especially on the main street. That's the main street of this town. The pawnbroker shop was a set that they built. Like, they built that building because they knew they were going to be using it a lot.
Gotcha. So those creepy-ass puppets that were in there, that was not legitimately in a store. That was something created?
Yes. Everything in this building is props palooza.
Gotcha. Well, Ashley has to get in there somehow, so as soon as Mr. Gold walks away, she comes up and throws the first brick at Goldwall.
I was just about to be like, oh, there's something there. I can make a joke about that, and you beat me to it.
Glad I could help.
Cinderella threw the first stone
at Goldwall.
Jeez. I did my note after Emma Swan, pro-choice queen, is maybe the point of the girl power strong, pro-choice speech that Emma gave was misinterpreted a little bit by Cinderella, I think.
And inside, as she's going through the pawn shop, she immediately goes to a painting and finds a safe behind it. She knew it was there, I guess.
Oh, she's been casing the joint.
Yeah, fully.
Like, she knows what's up.
As soon as she finds that safe, Mr. Gold appears behind her.
I love gold!
And explicitly says her name. So this is officially where we find out her name is Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
And so he asks her what she's doing. She's changing her life. Trademark. Then she girl bosses Mr. Gold in the face with some pepper spray.
I mean...
And by the way, she is super preggers. I don't know if we mentioned that with the...
Incredibly pregnant.
Like, about to bust.
Busted.
Yeah, like, clearly... she's going into labor within a week.
Yes.
If that.
I don't think we mentioned that when...
No, we didn't.
Yeah. So, yes, she is preggers, and she has been for who knows how long, because we find out later on that Cinderella is pregnant.
For 28 years, apparently.
Yeah!
That's a bit of a body horror.
Can you imagine being pregnant for 28 years?
I can imagine a lot of people who really would not want to think about that, so let's not dwell on it.
Ask your mom about that. After this, we cut to Regina's house, and Regina is just talking to Henry, who is reading the first issue of Marvel's Ultimate Wolverine vs. the Hulk. So
I knew you would catch that.
Had to catch that.
I had it written down in my notes, but I was like, I think Seth is going to catch this one.
Published May 12th, 2010, so we know where they were shopping for props.
Mm-hmm.
Henry is not to leave the house. As soon as Regina leaves, Henry is out that door.
It's really, it is honestly, what does Regina expect?
Yeah.
I mean, we know Regina has her mind on other things.
Oh boy.
As we find out later in the episode, but
can't blame her. After Henry leaves, at Emma's place, or at Mary's place, I guess Emma brought all of her stuff from Boston. Doesn't she still have a lease there or something?
3 boxes.
Yeah. And Mary's like, is that it? Yeah, it's just all my stuff. That's it? Oh, okay, sure.
Girl, you live like this for the 3rd time.
Knock on the door, it's Mr. Gold. We briefly met on your arrival, and Emma is like,
Yeah.
I remember someone as skeevy as you.
Yeah, who just gives me the creeps.
Uh-huh.
And then also, Rumpelstiltskin says, don't call cops.
Yes.
Even though he's doing it for the wrong reason, but
Yes.
he did say, don't call cops.
Absolutely. He wants Emma to find her since he knows she's a bounty hunter. And why didn't he go to the police? Because ACAB. I mean, I don't want to ruin her life because ACAB. I just instead want to have her live as a maid being crushed into the ground by capitalism.
Is it a cab for baby? Is that anything?
A cab for cutie.
I mean, we don't know if the baby's gonna be cute yet. It's just a baby.
If it's a baby, it's probably not. Okay, we should probably cut that. That would probably offend people.
AJ, you decide.
While this conversation is going on, Henry shows up, always where he is least wanted. And Mr. Gold just stares at him like, oh, hi. Super awkward. Mr. Gold leaves and Henry says to Emma, wait, is that all you brought?
Damn, girl, you live like this?
Do people really think that Emma just moved here? How could she have gotten her stuff from Boston? It's been 3 days that she's been in this town.
Yeah, like...
She's been arrested for 2 of them.
Yeah, like, she must have had someone ship that to her. Like, I don't think they ever really go into any details, because she's just such a loner in Boston.
I guess so. As they leave here, though, this is where I note Emma's cool new jacket, the blue jacket.
Mm-hmm.
And Henry is being a precocious little shit.
30-year-old writer man.
Yep. Back to the past again. It's Cinderella's castle, and Cinderella's Prince Charming, who we don't know yet is named Thomas, walks up onto the castle balcony where Cinderella is, and here her dress is white, as it should be.
They got the correct details.
Yes. They go into the room. Snow White and her Prince Charming show up, along with another person who is, I guess, Cinderella's Prince Charming's father.
Also, we did gloss over, this is their wedding. Like, this is
yes.
Cinderella and the prince's wedding. The way you said it was, they go into the room.
Just the room. It's a castle. There's plenty of rooms.
So one thing I did notice is, I didn't notice this. This was, a trivia that I looked up. The coats that are worn by the king's servants at the wedding are the same coats worn by the Genovian footmen in the Princess Diaries 2 royal engagement.
Shut up!
Which I was like, incredible. I love that.
Oh, wow. Wow. What I did notice and noted down is this dad related? Does he just give birth to Princess Charming?
No. Definitely not. There'll be more about that, but definitely not.
It wouldn't have been too far off from my call that all the Princes Charming are the same. It's
very Shrek 3 rules where all the princesses hang out and talk about stuff.
Oh, gotcha.
Like, they're just all besties.
Hey, bestie.
The note that I did have after their wedding, Cinderella, queen of class mobility.
Yes.
In every version of the story, I think that is apt.
It's through marriage, so yeah. Rather than balancing things out, she just moves up.
Yep.
In the middle of the wedding, though, Snow White breaks all decorum in the middle of the dance and just needs to move the plot along and dance with Cinderella. And she, again, comments on, hey, girl, way to go. Way to change your life, trademark.
I love when Snow White breaks away from, like, the old man that she's dancing with to go dance with Cinderella. He just stands in the back, and it's a little awkward.
Yeah,
he's just
stares at them.
Yeah, it's like kind of a nice, like, oh, this is nice for them, but it is he's just there. Because, like, on one hand, it's Prince Charming. On the other hand, it's just this random extra.
Mm. As the dance keeps going, suddenly Rumpelstiltskin is there. And did he just develop an Irish accent? I didn't notice it before.
It's like a lilting Scottish accent. Like, it's kind of its own thing, really.
But it is there now, and I didn't notice it before. Fairy tales.
Yeah.
So, after he decides that he wants to take her firstborn baby, Cinderella suddenly wants to run away. Because I guess running away, A, will solve the problem, and B, if she does give it up, I guess she's gonna lose everything, which is the impression she gives talking to her Prince Charming?
Yeah, I think there's the implication for her that if she gives up the baby, he won't want, like, the prince won't want to be with her anymore, and it's like, Props to the prince for being like, no, like, absolutely not. We're gonna keep the baby and get one over on Rumpelstiltskin.
Yeah. And like, maybe also, hey, even if he does get the baby, I still like you?
Right, yeah, it's like, that's not gonna make me send you back to your stepmother. Like,
Magic gave you the foot in the door, but I let you in.
right, yeah, like, that was a really nice moment between the two of them where, like, she's packing to leave,
Yeah.
and, like, he's like, what's going on? Like, are you okay? And, like, I thought that was a very sweet little scene between the two of them.
He likes her for her, and not just because she looks like... I don't remember the rest of how that... I was going to make the reference to that song. She likes me for me. Not because I look like Pavarotti, or because I'm such a hottie.
I truly have no idea what you're referencing at all.
After we're finished recording, I will play it for you. It's like Hey Leonardo, I think is the name of the song. Okay. You know it, you just don't know it from me singing it.
Okay.
I promise. Anyway, back to it. Back in the present at Granny's diner, Ruby says that Ashley's boyfriend hasn't been involved since they started expecting.
28 years ago?
Yeah, she's been pregnant for
28 years.
Not to talk about it that much, but Jesus, that's horrific.
Her poor feet!
And she was working as a maid the entire time. No, I mean, Regina did get her happy ending in that everyone else's lives are truly horrific.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Billy almost drops Ruby's car, and almost shatters Ruby's mirror decoration. Now, is Billy, like, someone I should notice?
He's not visible. I don't think so. Like, I think it's just, like, they needed a name.
Okay.
Like, I could eat my words on this
Sandwich.
but I don't think that's a relevant character. It's just the guy who's towing the car.
Okay, because it's like literally no other extra has a name unless they are someone. So I noted it down, but question mark.
And it is a crystal wolf figurine.
I wonder what it represents.
I mean, we already know who she is.
Emma and Henry are talking still, and suddenly Henry finally puts together what we as the audience know. Wait, she's got a stepmother and two stepsisters? Not now, Henry.
Yeah, it's like, hey, dude, this is really not the time for this. Like, just let me do my job, which Emma says to him repeatedly.
Thankfully, at least, it, like, brings the characters into the know of what we already have.
Right, yeah, it's like they know the Cinderella story.
Yes. Finally, we go to modern Prince Charming's house, and Ashley's ex living with his dad, super suburban, rich, white wasp.
Like, the prince is 25 years old, still living at home, and listening to his dad to stop talking to strangers.
Yep.
That sucks.
Prince Thomas's modern name is Sean Herman, and Sean's dad is the model of an awful wasp dad. Can't be mingling with the filthy poor new money.
This is very, like, the dad from Dirty Dancing.
Ugh.
Like, that's the vibe I got.
During this conversation, we find out that Ashley is being paid to give up the child, which, like, being a maid doesn't really look like she's being paid to give up the child. Does she have the money? We don't know. It's unclear.
No, I think the implication is that she's selling the baby.
Right. But, so she hasn't gotten paid, is the supposition.
Right. Like, I mean, this is a weird, like, human trafficking conversation that I did think about when I was watching it, that the episode doesn't really dwell on very much.
It's very glazed over just to move the plot along.
It kind of makes sense in fairy tale land, where it's like, okay, yes, we know Rumpelstiltskin does this thing. But in Maine, this is a creepy guy who's like, I'm going to take your baby when it's born. That's a big red flag.
It is a bit weird, but in the meantime, Emma starts getting super judgy and saying, quote, she sold the baby? Okay, Emma.
A normal thing for anyone to say, I would
Right?
argue, in our world.
When you do it, you're not ready, and it's adoption. When Ashley does it, she sells the baby.
I will say, putting a kid up for adoption is wildly different from selling a baby. Like, it is not even remotely the same conversation.
Yeah, fully that. After this conversation, they go back to Grandma's diner, and Emma's like, "The fuck?" And then they realize, oh shit, Ruby's car is being driven away by
car's
Ashley.
gone.
And so they go chase after her because Henry says, no one can leave the town. We gotta go save her. He's sent off screen because Emma can't get information from Ruby. But all of a sudden he's in Emma's backseat because we know he's a precocious little shit and will insert himself in everything.
Phrasing.
Of course.
Because he's a 30-year-old man.
I did note that when Emma is driving out of town in her Beetle, like, there's this crane shot from the side of the car over, and, like, you see Henry get up in the back. That was a really cool shot. Like, I like, clocked that. I was like, that's some nifty camera work right there.
And the consistency, it's still got the damage on the side from when she crashed into the sign.
I did notice that. That was really cool.
Back in the past, there's a plan to lure Rumpelstiltskin into the mines, which are being used as a jail for him specifically. Now, I didn't clock why the mines are a good place for him.
I think it has something to do because they said that Rumpelstiltskin needs a special cell. So I think it, like, whatever is down in the mines, like, there is that enchanted cell, like, with the stalactites and the stalagmites, like, that are the bars of it, like, that we see him in the pilot.
Right.
Like, that there's something special about that we might learn about later. Also, I fully noticed when it's, like, Prince Charming, Cinderella's prince and Cinderella, like, walking with Grumpy into that like, the jail area, Prince Charming mentions a stethoscope, and I was
Yes.
like,
Did those exist?
I was like, that's...
The stethoscope was invented in France in 1816 by René Laennec at the Neckeron von Malade Hospital in Paris.
It's interesting. I wasn't expecting that, like, out of fairy tale land Prince Charming's mouth.
Right? I guess that Snow White also uses bluebirds as, like, carrier pigeons.
Mm-hmm.
She's just got this connection. And the cell was carved out by dwarves, which is what we can assume, because Grumpy is all like,
Hope you like the cell. A lot of dwarf blood went into it.
because that's not creepy at all.
Nope.
Like I said, who knows? Put a pin in that.
In the present, Emma and Henry find the crashed car, and in the ditch, the very grassy ditch, Ashley's water finally broke after
28.
Years.
And I kind of have a question about timing of all of this. Because, like, so back in the past, Snow White got pregnant and gave birth the day that the curse happened.
Yes. Like, as the curse was happening, basically.
But Cinderella was pregnant before Snow White and still didn't give birth?
Yes, I think it was that she was still, like, I would imagine probably reasonably close to having her kid, but, like, it just hadn't happened. So it's, like, when the curse came, the unborn kid was caught up in that as well.
Do you think that was part of the deal that Rumpelstiltskin made? That if he wasn't going to get the baby wouldn't be born until circumstances were right for him to get it?
I think that has some... That's just the curse. That's
Okay.
Regina's curse that, like... Because
Timing
it's
is
like...
just weird.
Time stopped for everyone, essentially. But yeah, that kind of horrific to think about if you think about it too deeply.
Again, she's been pregnant for 28 years.
I cannot. I'm coming to you once again to tell you that Cinderella was pregnant for 28 years on this show.
28 years! Oh my god! Ask your mom if she wants to be pregnant for 28 years.
Ask literally any woman, and I guarantee you will be slapped because you just asked someone would they want to be pregnant, and that's a weird thing to ask someone.
They would probably be like, at once?
Let's just consolidate all 28 years of my pregnancy into one.
Cinderella is waiting in a garden for Rumpelstiltskin, and she tells him it's twins, and he is horny for these babies.
I mean, that is something we do know about Rumpelstiltskin from the fairy tale. Like, he's excited about babies.
But he is horny for them.
He, like, touches her belly and is like, ooh. Also, I mean, like, because, like, there's the magic quill that, like, whoever signs with this will be frozen, so that's how they capture him.
Yes.
He has to know. He knows he's gonna get double-crossed, because he's like, are you sure you want to do this?
Because all magic has a cost.
Because, like, he is, like, this incredibly powerful magic person. When he touches
dangerous man in the land is what they call him.
When he touches her belly, he has to know immediately that ain't twins. That's not happening.
Why you lying? So he's asking her why she wants to do this, since he already knows that she's lying.
Mm-hmm.
And she just continues lying, being like, oh, the kingdom is so poor, we can't grow any crops, while she's walking around in the most lush, verdant, fertile area ever. Like,
she's queen of class mobility. She's making sure that the people who aren't wealthy have good farmland.
Uh-huh.
Or so she would lie to Rumpelstiltskin about.
Maybe she should, give to the needy instead of letting it be used as a walking path.
Just a thought.
Yeah, so Rumpelstiltskin does sign the contract anyway, knowing, oh, this quill, it's magic, and magic's the only thing that can stop me. And so he does it anyway. He's that just badass energy.
Rumpelstiltskin is incredibly good at playing the long game.
Yep.
Like, as you've seen a few times already,
yep.
He always manages to come back around and collect. And that's, I think, he's such a fascinating villain to watch.
And that's what he tells her as he's covered in a bad film of CGI magic.
Yeah.
No matter what, he'll get her baby. In the present, in the hospital, though, Ashley's finally giving birth.
Mm-hmm.
And Henry says, Emma, you're the only one that can leave Storybrooke. You're the magic here. Baby is a 6-pound girl named Alexandra.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Gold says,
thank you for bringing me my merchandise.
That conversation.
So uncomfortable.
Yes. The note that I made was Rumpelstiltskin is a fuck. Like, Robert Carlyle is so good in that part. Because, I mean, him and Regina, like, we saw them interact in the second episode, and it was just like, oh, when these two go at it, it is wild. And they each have their own, like, prerogatives. He is doing his own thing here, and it is sinister as hell. And, like, I just can't get over it. Like, he's an incredible actor.
Fully. He is into it.
Yeah.
Back in the past, Rumpelstiltskin is thrown in the carriage. Cinderella doubts the decision, and then she gets the vapors, I guess? Just needs to sit down.
Mm-hmm.
Prince Thomas goes to get her water, and he is disappeared after somehow knowing that their baby is going to be a girl.
The magic has a price.
He used the stethoscope.
Yep, that's historically how you
That is how he found out that it's a girl.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Gold, back in the present, are now talking in the hospital lobby, and they're bantering back and forth. And Mr. Gold's like, but I have a contract and agreement. And everyone's like, yeah, you think that'll actually hold up in a modern U.S. court of law?
Emma literally looks the most dangerous person in town in the eye and says, do you want to fucking try me? And I was like, girl boss, go for it. And, like, even Rumpelstiltskin is like, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Like,
you're either very good or very stupid.
I was like,
I like you.
Ooh, that scene was really good. The two of them together, like, this episode in particular, it was really, really cool to watch Jennifer Morrison act the fuck out of this episode. Because, I mean, like, I think this is the first time that, like, we really see this, see Emma confront the reality of, what it's like to give up your kid.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, she does a great job. Like, she's acting, and I loved that.
And that's the really great thing about this episode, too. It introduces Cinderella and Ashley and does more with Mr. Gold, but, like, it's also a lot of development for Emma, who had otherwise been a really blank character.
Yeah. And I think, in hindsight, it makes sense because she's always been guarded. Like, I think that's on purpose, and, like, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, that's really good. That's, like, really well done.
Sure, but now the story is showing us instead of telling.
Right, exactly. It's one of those things where, like, now that we know that is the case, it enriches the past episodes, and, like,
Yes.
I always like when that happens.
So it's 10-10, no notes, very good.
Right.
Trademark.
And it's like, if you're going to have Emma make a deal with Mr. Gold, have it be over something that is this personal to her. And, like, the more I think about it, I'm like, damn, that's good writing. That's solid.
But, like, something that I noticed is that she calls his bluff on whether his contract would hold up in law. Mm-hmm. And so he says, fine, we'll whatever, drop that. And then he says, but I still have my agreement. As if that wasn't just fucking settled. So I guess Emma backs down in the end? Because, like, yeah.
Yeah, there is a lot of, like, okay, but, like, this was a good scene. They acted over the material, I think, to the point where, like, that didn't bother me when I watched it. Because I was like, okay, cool. Like, now she makes the verbal agreement that she owes him a favor.
Yes.
To be determined.
Was it a verbal? They at least shook on it?
They shook on it. There wasn't,
was there
like...
a signing?
Rumpelstiltskin doesn't have magic in Storybrooke, so, like, it is... I mean, they both agree, like, yeah, no, like, when you come along, it'll happen. And I think Emma knows enough about Mr. Gold that it's like, as we know, this is going to come back.
What if he comes for her firstborn son?
I mean, technically, he already did for Regina.
What the heck? Henry, you precocious little shit.
It is big pin in that. That'll come back.
So Ashley finally has her baby. She is cooing with the baby, names her Alexandra, and then we realize that this is all still the same day, all before 5 o'clock, because Emma has to get Henry home before 5, before Regina gets home. Speaking of Regina, why haven't we seen her? She's normally everywhere.
Surprisingly absent for most of this episode.
Yeah.
And we find out why.
Because she is enjoying getting dressed after some fun time in a bedroom with someone.
With a mystery man who's in the shower and left his socks under the bed.
Regina does get home and is calling after Henry going up the stairs, finds his shoe on the stairs. I did love that nod, but also, Henry, you are a 30-year-old man. You gotta learn how to tie your shoes, bud. Right.
If your sneaker falls off your foot while you're sprinting up the stairs, you gotta tie your shoes, my guy.
My dude. Don't leave your shoes lying on the stairs. Someone could get hurt. Ooh, reference. So, Sean, now that the new deal has been made, shows up at the hospital. He's allowed to be with Ashley. Mm-hmm. So, they're going to get their happy ending.
And he brings little shoes for Alexander, which are like, okay, that's cute. Put a little bow on it. The other thing that I did find out, or at least it was in the stuff I was reading about this episode, apparently Alexandra is a reference to the original Rumpelstiltskin story. And I thought that was pretty neat.
How?
Like, that's the name of the baby in the original. And I was like, okay, cute. They really did a good job, like, synthesizing those two stories together.
Work.
I thought that was really neat.
After this, though, we get a cut to the other side of the bedroom that Regina was in, and we see who walks out of the bathroom? Mr. Graham, Mr. Hot Man.
I think it was like the New York Times torso of 2006.
Oh, really?
Yep. I mean, it's Jamie Dornan. Come on, that man. If you haven't seen Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar, you really got to see Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar.
Nana, that man.
I implore you watch that movie. But yeah, no, and I think that's like the twist the episode ends on, right?
Yep, that is the end of the episode. A lot of fun. A lot of, I think this is probably the best episode so far, in my opinion.
This is the first time where they go into a formula that they'll be going into a fair amount more, where it is, like, we know our main cast, obviously will be more episodes where we expand more on their pasts, but here is a new, like, character of the week. They are introduced, their story plays off of the story that the characters are going through right now, and this episode really does a solid job of enhancing the ongoing story in Storybrooke, introducing us to these new characters.
Yeah.
And especially through the first season, this kind of format's going to come back a lot.
Well, I mean, the previous episodes have already been, like, telling their current story through what happened as their fairy tale selves. Mm-hmm. But, like, this one, it really hit the stride.
Yes, I would agree with that. It felt confident, I think, in a way that it will continue to feel as because, like, this is a wild shot, because it's, what if Rumpelstiltskin was Cinderella's fairy godmother, and also she was the one who made the deal with him? And this is kind of like that big, like, smashing stories together that are going to subvert expectations.
Yeah.
And it's a really cool concept.
I do look forward to seeing where this goes, because, like, that was really interesting.
Mm-hmm. So the next episode is called That Still Small Voice.
Yeah. So my thoughts with that are expanding on Jiminy Cricket, because Small Voice is kind of like your conscience. Like, I've tried to think of what else it might be, like other small characters, Blue Fairy, whatever. Did Cinderella's actual fairy godmother somehow live? Alice in Wonderland when she's shrunk down. No, my money's on Jiminy Cricket expansion of that story.
Well, we'll see next week. Thank you for staying with us. You can rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts.
You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at NotEvenOncePod. Linktree is in the bio.
You can follow me on Twitter at TheKidAin'tRight.
You can follow me on Twitter at RecycledSarcasm.
And you can email us at notevenoncepod@gmail.com if you have any questions, thoughts, feedback. We would love to read some listener feedback on the show, if you have any for us.
Absolutely. And until next time, enjoy your happy ending.
Goodbye.
That's it, AJ.